It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever in the world you might be. How are you? Thanks so much for tuning in to Baby and Toddler Instructions. As the music said, I'm your host, Blythe Lipman. And in just a bit, I have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Tracy Spackman. She is the Gentle Sleep Coach. And we're going to be talking about traveling with your little ones. You know, it's tough enough to travel with yourself. I see as I'm getting older, I try to pack less, but I end up packing more. Anyway, when you have little ones or even older kids, you end up taking so many things. And once you get there, if you have a toddler or a baby, unless they're a newborn, the sleep gets all disrupted. They're not in their own crib. They're not in their own house. It doesn't smell the same. Anyway, Tracy is going to talk all about how to make it easier and how to have those transitions work so that everybody is not up all night and then you can't enjoy your vacation the next day. So she'll be with us in just a bit because I have a few things. First, there were some recalls this week. Hobby Lobby recalled the Easter and July 4th light-up spinner toys. The battery cover can detach and expose the small coin cell batteries, posing choking and ingestion hazards to young children. Yikes. You know, before I tell you about the other recalls, I have to say something. Go to my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. My grandson actually swallowed one of these button batteries, and let me tell you, it is the most frightening thing. They're tiny. They look like the shape of a nickel or a quarter. If there's a little one and falls out, you know, everything goes in the mouth anyway. He's fine, thank goodness. But I have to tell you, for 2 days, we were on such pins and needles. He was in the hospital. He ended up having a surgical procedure to get it out. You know, if they pass it, what they say is if it passes through the esophagus, it'll either come out itself or they can go in and get it. The problem is that when a battery is swallowed, it can leak battery acid and cause burns. Fortunately, Alex was fine. He did have a few minor stomach burns. And I'll tell you, it's interesting. I should post the picture on my website because the battery was silver. And when it came out, it was brown from all the stomach acid and the battery leaking. Anyway, go to mybestparentingadvice.com, and I wrote an entire article on it and gave you some tips because it was scary and things you should know to do. If you ever suspect that your little one swallows a battery or anything else like that, go to the emergency room. Don't call. Don't wait. I don't care what they tell you. You know what? Go immediately and let them at least see what's going on. So if you do have these Easter and July 4th light-up spinner toys from Hobby Lobby, I put on my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, I always add all the numbers and the websites, and they will either give you your money back or they'll give you another one that works. But that was the first recall. Then there was another one, Dynacraft Ride-On Toys, Surge and Tonka battery-operated ride-on toys. The acceleration on the pedal on the ride-on toys can stick, yikes, posing a fall and crash hazard. Well, that could be scary too because little ones don't know how to drive. Make sure if you're going to give them one of these ride-on toys or if you get a hand-me-down, make sure it's age-appropriate. You know, kids just don't know the power of themselves, and sometimes they can fall out of these toys. I've seen it. We had kids in our driveway. They were under 3. They had 2 of these ride-on toys, and let me tell you, they would drive into my garage because they didn't know how to steer and they didn't know how to operate this little pedal, and if it sticks, boy, that could be an accident. So that's Dynacraft. And last but not least this week, Douglas recalled plush toys, Oliver, the Bear Chewy, the English Bulldog, and Charlotte the Fox. The plastic eyes on the toys can detach, posing a choking hazard. You know, everything goes in the mouth when they're little, constantly. And I have Connie Grunning from Peanut Butter and Wine. She's on my show the first Wednesday of every month. And she was talking a couple weeks ago about this great toy that is on her site. Check it out, Peanut Butter and Wine, WHINE.com, and it is a stuffed animal. And she said she was trying to pull it off with her teeth and her hands. If you get any kind of gifts like that, do exactly what Connie did. I used to do it. I used to try to pull it off with my teeth. You know, if you can pull things off of an animal with your teeth and you have a child that is not an older child, it is not age appropriate because everything does go in the mouth. So anyway, those were the 3 recalls. There will be on my website after the show, mybestparentingadvice.com. And hey, while I'm talking about this, check out all the other great shows on toginet.com. And if you want to be a guest on my show or any of the others, or you want to have your own show, it's great. Love doing my show. Contact them. Go to their website, toginet.com. And let's see what else we have. There's an interesting article, since we're going to be talking about travel today. It was in the New York Times, and it was called The Ultimate Travel Amenity, a Nanny. You know, if you are going to be traveling and you are not fortunate enough to take a nanny with you, they actually have places that supply nannies. And this whole article is about the parents that went to a resort, and it was in Jamaica. It was a rocky beach in Runaway Bay, and it was interesting because it was an all-inclusive, and they had nannies, and their child was 18 months old. It was their first child, and they were scared to death. You know, they're going to go on a trip, which they know nothing about. They're going to take an excursion. Do they leave their 18-month-old with a nanny that they don't know? How do you do it? Anyway, I thought this was a great idea, and I'm not going to read the whole article, but I have to tell you, the one woman that they actually used, Mrs. Dixon, she worked with hundreds of children over the years. And what these parents said is because it was their first child, she probably knew more about children than they did. And they ended up leaving the 18-month-old with them. And this resort had all kinds of things for the kids to do that were age appropriate, you know, toys on the beach, a playroom, you name it. Anyway, all I can tell you is this family that was very, very nervous, they focused on the undistracted time with themselves, mom and dad, which is so important together as a couple and as a family, but this worked out so great. So if you are going to be traveling somewhere, Google vacation nannies, and you will come up with the resorts that offer nannies. You will come up with nannies that like to travel. You know, of course, you have to pay for all this, but if you're in that place, or even if you have a babysitter, sometimes babysitters that are out of school, if they're high school kids, they are more than thrilled to be the nanny on the trip, and that gives everybody time. So I thought that was a really interesting article in the New York Times. You can check it out in the travel section. Also, today I want to share a few of my tips from my book called Help, My Toddler Came Without Instructions. I have 3 books: Help, My Baby Came Without Instructions, Help, My Baby Came Without Instructions, and this one, Help, My Toddler Came Without Instructions. And there's hundreds of tips, and I am going to share some today from my chapter called Oh, the Places We'll Go, because I have my own tips that make it a little easier when you're going to be traveling with your little ones. If summer brings that about, get a white noise machine. Or you can put white noise on your phone or music on your phone. And if you're going to be staying at a hotel, or even if you're staying at grandma's or another family member, start playing that music before you go away, or the white noise before you leave for your trip. And take the machine, because if you happen to stay at a hotel and it's next to the elevator or it's noisy, when it's sleep time, they'll be used to the machine from home, from these noises from home. And don't forget, the womb was a very noisy place. So that could make your traveling a little easier when it's time to go to sleep. If you're going to be going on a plane, I think take some snacks, whether it's goldfish crackers, whether it's Little Bears, and take some paper cups, or if you have small plastic cups. Not only is it easy for them to be entertained and something healthy and something good to eat, but, you know, goldfish crackers and some of the other organic crackers come in colors now. And you can count with them. You can practice numbers with them. You can put them, you know, you can have your little one, if they're 6 or 7 months old, 8 months old, they like to put things in cups and dump them out. They can put them in and out of the cups. These little crackers and cups can save your sanity. especially if you're going on a plane, because it's tough to sit still. Also, another one of my favorite tips is don't bring juice boxes. Yes, I know they're easy, but I have to tell you, one squeeze and everybody is sticky for the whole trip. And it's tough to sit on that plane with a sticky, wet shirt, and you probably end up getting a lot of the brunt of it. So don't take the kind you can squeeze. Take a sippy cup that has a cover and take water. If your child will only drink juice, my suggestion is put a little bit of juice in with the water so it's not so sticky. And always take 2 changes of clothes on the plane, on the bus, in the car. And don't forget to take your clothes for yourself. We always forget to take things for ourselves. And we end up sometimes getting the brunt of it. If they spill something on us, I've heard more parents say to me, I got off the plane. It's the first time my parents are meeting my 6-month-old, and I have orange carrots all over my shirt. So don't forget to change of clothes for yourself. So on that note, we're going to have a commercial in just a few minutes. And when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to my wonderful guest. Her name is Tracy Spackman. She is a certified gentle sleep consultant. She has 5 children and trained as a gentle sleep coach with Kim West, who was on the show a long time ago. And maybe she'll come back. Anyway, Tracy's great. She teaches gentle sleep and support classes to breastfeeding groups at hospitals. She has her own groups. She has a terrific site on Facebook. She does personal consultations on the phone. And if you go to her site, thegentlesleepcoach.com, you will see everything she does. And my gosh, I'll tell you what, a good night's sleep is better than anything, because when you're tired, everything looks worse. Trying to make those suggestions is tougher for everybody. And if your baby sleeps, then you will sleep. And everybody will get up happy in the morning, and you can take each day and go on with your life, and it will just be a lot easier. When I don't sleep, oh my gosh, I'm grumpy too, and I'm older. So we will be right back. Please stay with us, and we will welcome my wonderful guest, Tracy Spackman, the Gentle Sleep Coach.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
It's words you never heard.
The first official 4th of July party was held at the White House in 1801. But did you know that countries other than the U.S. celebrate American Independence Day or July 4th? Denmark, Italy, Portugal, and England all have 4th of July parties. In fact, the British celebrate their independence with bungers and fizzgigs, otherwise known as firecrackers, just like in America. Squib is slang for an electric match used in pyrotechnics. Our dog celebrates July 4th every year the same way, by cowering under the bed. Many European celebrations take place, of course, at American military bases. I'd like to send a special thanks to all our armed forces stationed around the world for everything you do to provide freedom and independence to America.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Harvard Medical School reports that 4 out of 5 Americans are plagued with a debilitating and sometimes excruciating low back pain at some point in their lives. Strengthening your core is one of the best ways to prevent low back pain. Your core muscles are often referred to as your powerhouse because almost all the movements of your body engage your core. A strong core stabilizes your back as well as enhancing your balance. A sturdy, flexible core fortifies almost everything that you do and helps prevent falls and injuries during sports and other activities. To keep low back pain absent from your body, concentrate on exercises that strengthen your core. Live healthy, strong, and pain-free. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am here with my wonderful guest, Tracy Spackman, the Gentle Sleep Coach. And before I introduce her, I just want to let you know, if you have a sleep question or any kind of question for me or for Tracy during the show, you can call us at 877-864-4869, and we are happy to talk. I love callers. But on that note, Tracy, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being on. And I gave a short bio before the commercial break. Can you give your own bio?
I'm a gentle sleep coach. A lot of people will give me some fun names like Sleep Guru, Baby Whisperer, Sleep Goddess, I think was the latest one, just because you're so happy when you finally get sleep. You're just so thankful. But I call myself a gentle sleep coach, and that's different from a sleep trainer, just from what people think about sleep trainers, because a sleep trainer typically will do a cry it out, and a gentle sleep coach will do a more responsive method. So I'm a gentle sleep coach. I'm trained by Kim West. She wrote the book Good Night, Sleep Tight, and I have her training. And I work with the Child Sleep Institute, which is based in Canada. And I also have training with the Infant Mental Health Program that is run out of Sick Kids in Toronto. And I'm currently taking the Wonder Weeks Infant Mental Health Program, because everyone talks about Wonder Weeks. And I know about developmental milestones and brain development, so I want to know about this Wonder Weeks and how they're looking at it. So I always am doing, furthering my education to see what the latest research is on sleep. And I teach moms. I don't work with babies. I work with moms. I teach moms how to read their baby and figure out their baby, and how to help their baby sleep through the night and find out what's wrong, what's not messing. Is it just timing? Do we need to help the baby go through sleep skills? Are they doing it too early? So I'm a parenting coach specializing in sleep.
And you're great. I mean, you're great. And I tell my listeners about your page on Facebook, because I go there all the time, and the questions are, I'm always shaking my head because my daughter didn't sleep the first 9 years. And you were probably a baby in school at that point. But
that's a long time not to sleep.
So tell my listeners about your page.
I have lots of resources. So I have a business page on Facebook. If you search Quiet Night Sleep Coaching Services, because everybody wants a quiet night. So Quiet Night Sleep Coaching Services. That's my Facebook page. And I have a group called Sleep Sisters Get Quiet Nights. That's where people tend to ask me questions. I used to go all over Facebook and into different moms groups and answer sleep questions. But sometimes you get a question that you can't answer in a Facebook post, like, how do I get my baby to sleep through the night? Okay, well, that's not really a Facebook question. It takes me an hour to answer that one and really dig in, and that's when I put on my sleep detective hat and I have to figure out what it is that's going wrong. And so I would post my website, getquietnight.com, and I actually had some people hire me, and then they started telling other people on the group, not me, but other people, saying, oh, you should just hire Tracy. She'll help you to get your baby to sleep through the night. And then I got kicked out of those groups for soliciting because they thought that I'd paid them to say that. But I don't have to pay people to say that. It just happens organically, just naturally.
Oh, it does, because you really know your stuff. And I'll tell you, I especially like the fact on this page, on Sleep Sisters Get Quiet Nights, that there's at the top button, it says call me. Because so many times you want to pick up a phone and set up an appointment, and then you have to look for the number, and it's a whole ordeal, and a secretary. And anyway, you make it very easy. And like I said at the beginning of the show, if you get a good night's sleep, the world looks like a better place for you, your baby, if your kids are older. Sleep is so important.
If you don't get a good night's sleep, it skews your perceptions. You might think that your marriage is on the rocks when really you're just sleep deprived. Or
grumpy.
It can make you show signs of postpartum depression, but really you're just sleep deprived. And you might do crazy things like drive through your garage door without opening it.
And
Hiring me
people
would be
have
cheaper than
done
that.
that.
Yes, I asked them, what's the craziest thing that you've ever done being sleep deprived? And then there was a whole string of funny answers, and so I that were true. And I made a blog post about it. So I also have a blog, getquietnights.blogspot.com, and there's some funny blogs on there. And then I have some other blogs on my website. So if you want to find somebody whose problem is like your problem, there's like a success stories post on my website that people will list how old their baby is and what was going wrong, and then what's happening now. And that's super interesting to read as well. So lots of resources. Oh, plus I have my podcast from our old shows that we've done together on the homepage of my website.
And you'll have one more. So it's great because there's always lots of new information. And until people stop having babies, you know what? You are so important to them. You were talking about the Wonder Weeks?
So this is just something that I've just started. So there's a book out there called The Wonder Weeks, written by some researchers and scientists. And it's all about infant mental health and recognizing the development of the baby's brain. And so there's periods in the development when sleep falls apart because they call it you're in a wonder week. So I'm still in the beginning parts of the infant mental health stuff, and so far everything that they're talking about I already know, which makes me feel awesome. I haven't gotten to the specific Wonder Weeks part, but things like the sleep regressions that you have at 4 months, the 4-month sleep regression, and if your baby's on the verge of crawling, that can make sleep fall apart. If you're on the verge of walking, that really can make sleep fall apart. And then there's a separation anxiety peak at 9 months and 12 months and 18 months. And something that was super interesting is they had this interesting graph on there that showed how much effort the parent has to take to help the baby to adjust to change, and how much effort the baby has to put into to adjust to change. And then those two lines, they cross at 27 months. And like, there's like a touch point there. So if you don't get your baby sleeping well by 27 months, it's so much harder. And the closer you get to 27 months, it's harder and harder and harder. And after that, it just exponentially just gets harder. It's never impossible to make changes, but the later it is, the harder it gets.
So we're not going to ever be selling the baby like at 28 months. Then we're not going to see them on eBay because they're not sleeping. We can always fix it.
I have people call me for their 3 and 4-year-old, like, is it too late? I'm like, no, it's not too late. It's going to be hard, but it's not too late.
No, well, you know what? You're so great with the parents and the tips and what to do. But anyway, let's get right into this. Summer is just about here, and it's a time for traveling. And I'll tell you, that really can mess up your kids' sleep, whether they're babies, whether they're toddlers. You know, it's a new place, it's new smell, new beds, cribs. Where do we start? How do you prep before? Should you be prepping before you go on a trip?
So this summer stuff, this is actually one of my least favorite topics because it's so complicated and baby specific. Why do you always want to talk to me in the summer? Let's talk in the winter. Let's talk about
Okay, goodbye. We can talk in the winter. We'll do Wonder Weeks in the winter.
Every baby is born with a particular temperament makeup. And so it's kind of like you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, like babies do in kindergarten. And you need to adjust your parenting to match the temperament of your baby so that your baby can have good low-stress experiences for good brain development. And so if you have temperament traits that make it hard to adjust to change, that makes travel really hard. So my best tip that you can do to prepare for travel isn't sleep them in the pack and play for a few weeks before the trip, which a lot of people think that I'll tell you to do. I don't tell you to do that. The best thing is to make sure that your baby is secure and attached and as close to having good sleep skills as possible. Because if you have good sleep skills before your trip, that affects how your baby can self-regulate stressful situations during the day. And so people tell me, I'm going on a trip in 3 weeks. Is that enough time? I'm like, well, if you've got at least 10 days, we can probably make some progress. 3 weeks is probably enough time. So work on your baby's sleep skills and not needing to be nursed or rocked or held back to sleep in the middle of the night, and not nursed or rocked to sleep at bedtime, which is where the skill set kind of starts. But not to worry about naps. Get the naps any way possible and just work on skills. And then if you can get some skill development, some self-soothing development there, that will help your baby to better adjust to all of the new sights and sounds. And then the great thing about that is once your baby has those skills, all of that new environment and sights and smells is really good for the baby because they handle the stress better and they're more stimulated and they actually sleep better on their vacation when they've got skills. Not every baby will fall into that category if they have those temperament traits that make it hard to adjust to change, but most of the babies I work with, if we can improve their sleep skills before you go on vacation, that makes the vacation go a lot better. And then I have some other more practical, I have some other things too.
That's really interesting because it is all about the sleep skills. I mean, you go to a hotel and you're next to an elevator and there's noise. My thing that I have always said to parents from day one, and I don't know if you'll agree, is when you bring the baby home, do what you normally do in the house. Don't put a sign on the door that says don't ring the doorbell, and don't not turn on music or the TV if that's something you did before you had the baby, because the womb is such a noisy place. They're used to all that noise, and if you get them used to silence, they're never going to sleep unless there's silence. Besides having the sleep skills that you provide the parents so that you can teach them, but so many times parents will put a note on the doorbell that says, shh, baby sleeping, and while every baby is different and that's your department when it comes to the sleeping, I just think the baby has to fit into the lifestyle and you don't have to change everything. But if I don't stop talking, we're going to have a commercial and you're not going to be able to hear me because the music's going to be too loud. So when we come back from the commercial break, we are going to talk more to Tracy Spackman, the Gentle Sleep Coach, about vacations, about caregivers. And if you have any questions, call us 877-864-4869. We will be right back.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Got a lead foot? According to state troopers, here's what not to do when you get pulled over. Don't be a lachrymous and start crying right away. It doesn't help. But if you're under 20, crying won't be held against you. Don't ask for a break, and don't yell or start any argy-bargy. And one trooper said, if they're going to flirt with me to get out of a ticket, it would probably insult my intelligence. But unfortunately, I don't get hit on all that often. So flirting or being a gill flirt won't work. Did you know that 15% of all drivers get 76% of all traffic tickets? And the odds of winning if you challenge a traffic ticket in court are 1 in 3. So what should you do when you get pulled over for speeding? Be courteous to the officer, and most of all, be honest.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Word.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
It's a fact that eating breakfast is extremely important. Many Americans start their day by eating a bagel with cream cheese. They find it satisfying and feel that it's a healthy choice for breakfast. But is that true? Eat This, Not That states that a bagel is shaped like a zero for a reason. It has almost 500 calories with 8 grams of fat and 634 milligrams of sodium. The majority of the 500 calories come from refined carbohydrates with little redeeming nutrition to justify the price tag. A much better choice would be a low-calorie, multi-grain English muffin with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter for 300 calories. This is satisfying and nutritionally charged. Choose a breakfast that works for you and not against your healthy, light lifestyle. I'm Annette Hammond. Visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm your host, Blythe Lipman, and I am here with my wonderful guest, Tracy Spackman, the certified gentle sleep consultant and coach. She's on Facebook. She's got pages on Facebook. Her website's wonderful. If you have a baby, toddler, 3-year-old, and you can't get them to sleep, Tracy can help. She's wonderful, and there's nothing better than sleep. And by the way, I have to say this, right before the last segment ended, if you heard birds in the background, it was my chair squeaking. So here's my tip of the day. If you have a squeaky chair and you have cooking spray, works great on those squeaks. So if I will try to hold still, no more birds in the show today, but that's what it is. Anyway, you know I love to share what I'm doing. So Tracy, on that note, which has nothing to do with babies, what do you do? What happens when you get to the place you're going? Let's say you're going to grandma's or a place, that your baby's not used to or your toddler's not used to, and somebody else is going to put them to sleep. Any tips?
Well, it's really helpful if the mom, or the regular caregiver, spends some time with the baby in the sleep space so that the baby can see that the mom is comfortable in there. How the mom feels really projects onto how the baby feels, because the baby picks up on the emotions of the mom. So if the mom is anxious about a scenario, that's going to cause the baby to feel anxious about the scenario and wonder why you're putting them in that scenario when you don't even feel comfortable yourself and they won't feel safe. So spending time in the sleep space, play with your baby in there, unpack with your baby in there, hang out in there, and then have the caregiver do the same things that you would do. Watch for tired signs, tell them what the kind of the final signals that you do before bedtime, and have them go through that. And if in doubt, make sure that the caregiver is being responsive and not leaving the baby to cry, to keep the stress as low as possible. But spending time in the sleep space is really helpful. It also is helpful if you bring the sheets from your bed at home, take your crib sheets off and throw them in a bag and bring them with you, so that the baby's sleeping on the same sheets in the new place that they were sleeping on the old place. So it'll feel the same, it'll smell the same. That's something that a lot of people don't think about, is that smell. And then bring your white noise from home to block extra noises, and that'll be a familiar sound and help keep some continuity in the environment. And then make it as dark as possible. If you have a dark room, which is really helpful for young babies, try to make it really dark. They have these panels that you can fold up, that you can buy, that are all it's a folded up piece of vinyl that has like suction cups on it, that you can use to cover a window. That's really great for travel.
That's great to know. What do you think what about an older child that's not in a crib?
And spending time in the sleep space is still really helpful. And them having their lovey, so if they have a special teddy bear, bring it up. Make sure you bring it on your trip so that they can use that as their comfort item, and have the temporary caregiver run through the same bedtime routine that they do. So they have their toothbrush, and they get the bedtime stories, and they get them in the same order. It's really helpful. One of my favorite toddler tips is to sit down with a toddler in like a family meeting and kind of brainstorm all the things that you do in your bedtime routine. So do this before your trip, and then act out each piece of the bedtime routine. So the last glass of milk or water before they go to bed, and then brushing their teeth and choosing their pajamas and having a bath and getting a diaper change maybe, and reading the stories and singing a song and getting tucked in. So take a photo. Get out your phone and take a photo of each to represent each of these pieces. And then put them in a photo book, and call it your bedtime book, so that when it's bedtime, like, oh, it's bedtime, let's get the bedtime book. And you pull out the book and you give it to the toddler and you say, what comes first? What do we do first? And it's always something awesome at the beginning, like, because usually a snack. It starts bedtime, so they want to do that. And so then the toddler will tell you that it's the snack or the milk or whatever their language level is for the age. And then when that's done, like, okay, now what? And then they'll point to the next one, or they'll tell you the next thing, and they'll move through all of the pictures in the book until you get to bedtime. And the last picture will be a picture of the toddler or the child lying in the bed with their finger over their lips, making the sound. So like, the sign.
Right.
And so then they're in bed. And so your nanny can do the same thing, can follow that book, and then the baby feels like they have power and control, even though you've kind of set it up that way.
That is a brilliant idea. That is just
Thank you.
so brilliant. I love it, and I am going to use it and give you credit when I do my own blogs about something, because that bedtimes can be hard. The kids don't want to settle down, and boy, to be in control and be part of that. How many times, do you have to say to a 3 or 4-year-old, it's time for bath? Okay, one more minute, and you don't want to get into it. Also, you're talking about having a bedtime snack. I'm going to ask this as a grandma. I have a grandson. He just turned 2, and my daughter came to me, and she was saying every night lately before he goes to bed, he'll say, eat, and he's starving before he goes to bed, even though he's had a good dinner. I say give him a banana, give him a couple pieces of turkey, don't give him cookies and milk. What's your thought on that?
There are, at one point there was a list of bedtime foods that were good for bedtime, and I posted it on my Facebook page. It had good things for before bed and bad things before bed. And for bananas, I'm on the fence about bananas. Bananas are so high in sugar, natural sugars, but the potassium is really good for sleep. Like, I don't know.
And the tryptophan. They have tryptophan like turkey does too, which is good for sleep.
Wow, so that probably outweighs the sugar part. You don't want to do anything with caffeine or chocolate,
no,
or high unnatural sugars. But if you're potty training, don't do milk. If you're wanting your baby to try to not pee the bed or pee their diaper in the middle of the night, don't do milk as part of your bedtime routine. Keep it to water or something more solid, because milk increases nighttime peeing, and water not so much. So I think having a snack is a good idea, but control it, keep it small, and make it regular. The bedtime book gets rid of all the curtain calls. It makes things straightforward, a feeling of control. And if the baby is old enough, so it's more like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, is always asking for more things. Oh, no, I need you to add braids to my hair, or you need to clip my nails, or you need to tell me one more story. Oh, tonight I need you to draw on my back. Say to the child, let's talk, either that's a great idea, we'll do that tomorrow, or let's talk about that tomorrow and we can talk about whether we're going to add it to the bedtime book. You do not change it that night so that you can remain consistent, but acknowledge it and let them know that you're going to talk about it in the morning.
Right, and don't forget, write yourself a note. If everybody's running out the door, write yourself a note to talk about it when you pick them up from preschool or whatever you do. Do you think most children should have a snack before bed?
I think it just depends on the child.
Okay, that's what I thought. Also, we were talking about spending time in the bedtime space. If you're going to be baby's going to be sleeping someplace else. I've had parents tell me that they're hiring a babysitter from a hotel, because lots of hotels in the summer will provide them, and you check them out. What do you think about having them put their baby to sleep before they leave and then having a stranger come in? I've had many parents say that's what they were going to do, and personally, I think it's scary, because if the baby wakes up, they don't know who this person is. What do you think?
I think the baby's not going to know who that person is either way, and it's going to be stressful to have a stranger in there anyway. And what's interesting about that is if your baby cries a lot when you come back after being away and they've been with a stranger, if they scream and cry and cling to you and act all mad, that's actually a sign of a really good attachment. That's actually a good sign. If they are mad at you and ignore you when you come back, that's not a good sign.
No, they're kind of angry.
For attachment. Right. You want the baby to be angry and cling to you and and express themselves and express how they feel. It just depends on I think it depends on whether you expect your baby to wake up. If your baby just doesn't typically wake up and is a solid sleeper, that's going to be the less stress, because they're not going to know, but they're going to be safe. I think of it more as if you're leaving them during the day, to be not abrupt about it, but constant about it. So here the new person comes in, you spend a few minutes with them, and you act like they're a great person. You introduce them. You all have a little activity together, a greeting, and then tell your baby that you're leaving. All right, I'll be back at this time. Bye. And then walk out the door and let it be done. And if you can do short periods of time first, like if this is a nanny that's going to be doing lots of care for you, to leave just for 10 minutes and then come back and then spend some time together and then leave for half an hour and then come back. Your baby sees that you come back and then do the long one. If you had time for that would be helpful.
Those are great ideas. And you know what? Make sure, interview the person that's going to be watching the child if it's a stranger, because many times hotels do supply people that are very qualified, but you want to meet them because you never know who it is. It could be personality conflict, could be great. A lot of times I've seen babysitters that will come from a hotel and they'll bring a bag of toys. They'll bring coloring books. They'll bring crayons, depending on the age of the child. But again, to just have a stranger come in when it's dark in the room, usually the hotel rooms, unless you have a suite, it's a bedroom. I can remember doing this when I was 11 years old, my gosh, sitting in these dark rooms, babysitting for 25 cents an hour. I thought it was great because I always loved babies and still do. But, that's a great idea to have them come and leave 10 minutes and come back because it's tough. And, as we all know, a lot of kids have separation anxiety, and you don't want to leave your child and not be able to sit down and have a meal with your partner, your husband, whatever, and call every 5 minutes. You want to make sure that the person that's going to watch your child, if they're new, that you feel comfortable that they will contact you if they need you, especially if you're right on the premises with them. It's scary. Travel is different, not just the sleep part of it, but it's different. Anyway, we're going to break for commercial in just a few seconds, and keep that thought because I want you to say it when we come back. But when we come back, besides Tracy's thought, I'm going to ask you for your favorite parenting tips, so please stay with us.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
It's words you never heard.
Did you know that besides home and work, Americans spend more time at the mall than anywhere else? There are 50,000 shopping malls in the United States alone. The Mall of America, located between Minneapolis and St. Paul, is the largest in the world, with more than 500 stores. What's a word for a person who is a compulsive shopper? An oniomaniac. Studies have shown that women will buy more if they hear their heels clicking on the floor. So designers often use hard flooring in hallways. Of course, the stores want customers to spend all their coopity-coop. That's another word for money. Well, I gotta run. There's only one more shopping day until tomorrow. My husband said if I don't quit shopping so much, he would leave me. Lord, I'm gonna miss that man.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Tracy Spackman, the Gentle Sleep Coach. And we are up to the last part of the show. My gosh, it goes so fast. Before the break, we were talking about leaving your little one with a stranger in a hotel or a resort. So Tracy had a couple things she wanted to share before the break.
So I know somebody who does nannying for people in hotels. Andrea Strang from the Child Sleep Institute does that sometimes. And the great thing about her is that she's calm and unflappable and very experienced with babies. And that's what you would look for in a nanny, someone who is going to be totally comfortable holding your baby. Sometimes people aren't comfortable holding babies, and you can just kind of tell. So somebody that when they pick up a baby that they are confident with holding your baby.
And the baby can tell. The baby will know right away.
They pick up on your emotions, absolutely. If you're nervous, they can totally tell. So you want somebody who's confident with babies. And then I was also going to say that getting a nanny in a hotel is better than leaving your baby behind. When my oldest brother was a baby, my parents went on a trip for a couple of weeks and left him behind. And we can almost sometimes we joke with him that we can see the detrimental effects that had on him. So if you can afford it, a better choice is to take your baby with you and to hire a nanny there.
That's right, if you're there. Unless, what do you think about grandma, though, taking care of the kids if you're going to go on your own little trip?
I think it's still hard to leave your baby behind. But if the grandma is a regular caregiver and sees a lot, then I think that's a wonderful solution. But if they're not, if the grandma has flown in from out of the country to take care of your baby and is a stranger, that's going to be hard on the baby and affect them.
Oh, you know what? I so agree. I mean, I just took care of my grandson for 5 days, and I see him all the time. I'm so lucky and grateful. And FaceTime is amazing because we FaceTimed all the time. But, you know, when a new grandma that only sees your children, you know, once or twice a year, they have no idea what they do, what the routines are, and babies pick up on it, just like we said. And it's not good for anybody because you're going to get those phone calls. Baby didn't do what you said he'd do. So
I had somebody ask me this week whether they're going on a road trip, and it's a pretty long trip, and they wanted to know if they should break it up into 2 parts or if they should just do it all at once. And I didn't have a scientific answer one way or the other. I could actually argue it both ways, but I myself go on tons of super long road trips, and each leg of the trip is actually pretty long, anywhere from 8 to 16 hours. And I started doing this when my youngest was almost 1 year old. And the thing that helped me because I had decided to do the long trip, the long days, the thing that made it manageable was not only did I have my older kids able to entertain the baby in the back and constantly feed them snacks, and we had lots of food, we had lots of car food, but we stopped a lot, and we got out of the car, and we took a lot of scenic photos. Anytime we were driving through somewhere that was pretty, we all got out of the car and took some pictures and played around, and we had a Frisbee and a football, and we played a little bit just to break it up. And anytime that we would want it, we just felt like stopping. Every half gas tank, I would stop. I don't want to go longer than a half gas tank. Then I need to get another drink, go get a snack, and I think it's fun to buy souvenirs in gas stations. When
That's
you're on
what you were talking about.
It's some fun stuff.
That's why it's a vacation, because you wouldn't just drive out of your house and go buy a souvenir down the street at Circle K. I mean,
I am wearing a stainless steel ring with some diamond tips in it that I got for $10 at this gas station, and I try to always stop at that gas station because they have the coolest stuff.
You know what? And don't forget, you're making great memories with your kids, even if they're babies. You take them out of the car seat, you take them into the gas station, whatever, the store, and it's new things to look around at. And
that's right.
It's really, and also there are no rules. The thing is, there are no rules. You have to do what works for your family all the time, even though people are going to tell you what to do, and it may not work. But traveling,
right.
You know, especially traveling, do what works for you. No rules. Just have fun and take pictures and, you know,
and
make
I think
memories.
In general, traveling is actually really good for brain development. Those new experiences that the baby experiences on the trip and the new scenes and smells, that's really good for brain development.
Well, you heard it from the experts, so go into those gas stations. So, Tracy, give me some of your favorite parenting tips.
Okay, one of my favorite parenting tips is don't ask how the baby is sleeping. When a mom has a new baby, you're like, oh, how is your baby sleeping through the night? How is your baby sleeping? That is the wrong question. That is going to make the mom feel bad. But instead, if you ask how the mom is sleeping, oh, you've had a new baby. Are you getting enough sleep? Really, you're showing concern for the mom. And that's what you want to do. So that would be the question to ask. Are you getting enough sleep? And then if she says no, then you can offer to help. Well, can I come in and hold your baby while you take a nap? Can I do some things for you so that you feel like you can take a nap? And offer assistance like that. I think that's a much better question. When your intent was always good when you want to ask if the baby is sleeping, but ask how the mom is sleeping.
I love that tip because you know what? You know the mom's not sleeping. I mean, it's just a fact. She's doing laundry or the baby's up or, it's like asking somebody how they are and you know they're not okay. Mm-hmm. Great tip. What else? Do you have other tips? You have 5 children. You must have tons of tips besides that and what you do for a living.
I didn't do sleep coaching on my children until they were closer to a year old. And so all the things that people tell me that they're doing, oh, I'm co-sleeping because my baby wants sleep. I halfway through the night, I can't do it anymore, so I take my baby to co-sleep with me. And they're co-sleeping reactively when that's not what they wanted. Co-sleeping is great if that's what you want to do and you can do it safely and healthily, and that can be wonderful attachment. But if that's not what you want, it ends up being a coping strategy. So I've nursed my babies to sleep. I've rocked my babies to sleep. I've gotten up in the middle of the night and driven around the city to help my babies to sleep. I have done it all. So I have tons of empathy for the moms and dads who aren't sleeping and what's going on. And now I have the answers too. I know all the things that I could have done differently and gotten sleep so much sooner. But my tip is, if in doubt, respond to your baby. If the baby is awake and crying in the middle of the night and you don't know what you should do, be responsive. If you don't know if you should feed your baby or not, which one of those is responsive? Feeding your baby is responsive. If you don't know if you should pick them up or not, which one is responsive? Picking them up would be responsive. So in the middle of the night, when you're in the thick of it, choose the responsive choice. And then during the daytime, when you are awake and you have all your faculties functioning properly, not middle of the night blur, that's when you make decisions about nighttime plans so that you can be purposeful. But in the middle of the night, if you didn't have a plan that you decided on during the day, choose the responsive choice. Because maybe your baby is hungry. Maybe they pooped all the way up their back. And if you ignore them, I'll just let them cry. Maybe they'll figure it out. You can't figure it out through poop. Or maybe they threw up. You should go check. And be responsive and make your sleep plan during the day.
That's a great tip because the middle of the night is a whole different ballgame than when you're awake. So is there one thing you can share that you should never do to help your baby sleep?
Never. Oh, there's so many you should never do. Don't leave your baby to cry it out if they have an alert temperament. How about that? Children who have alert temperaments are curious, observant, know what they want, hold out till they get it. And if you leave a baby like that to cry it out, and I don't advocate cry it out. I like all the gentle methods. But if you haven't done the research and cry it out is what your doctor is saying or your friends are saying, if your baby has a high needs, is very alert, needs lots of holding, cry it out isn't the way to go because you could potentially cause an anxiety disorder. If you have a super easy baby, cry it out is not going to cause so much damage because they're probably going to figure it out within 15 or 20 minutes. But an alert baby is not going to get it quickly like that. And so you don't want to do cry it out on an alert baby. That's what I think you should never do.
Oh, good advice, because especially cry it out is so hard. And we don't want anybody to cry it out. You know what? Every baby needs something, which is why they're crying. They're not just crying because they don't have anything to do.
A sleep plan helps you figure out all the different pieces. There's environment and timing of bedtime and appropriate amounts of day sleep. And then what are you doing at bedtime? Whatever you do at bedtime, that's what you should do in the middle of the night. If you held your baby to sleep at bedtime, you should hold them back to sleep in the middle of the night because that's what they're looking for. If when you work on skills, start it at bedtime.
You know what, Tracy? Great tips. We're at the end of the show. Tell my listeners very quickly how they can call you to set up an appointment.
Just go to my website, getquietnights.com. It's all there. My phone number is at the top. The link to my Facebook group is in the middle. My podcasts are at the bottom. And
it's a beautiful, happy blue. And when you see Tracy with her beautiful turquoise scarf, you'll love it. Tracy, thank you for being on the show. I will talk to you after the summer. Enjoy your road trip, your gas station, and whatever souvenirs, and be safe. And have a happy Memorial Day weekend this weekend. Thanks for being on the show. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, don't forget to check out Tracy's site. It's great, and everything's there. And she has helped so many parents. I mean, again, nothing better than a good night's sleep. So on that note, check out my own website, mybestparentingadvice.com. June will be here. Memorial Day is coming, and I just want to share with you, I will be playing all of my greatest tips and hits and shows with my guests. I love all my guests. I love all my shows. I'm going to pick my greatest hits to replay. All the tips that will make your summer easier, because I will be putting my little toesies in the water, and I'll be on the stand for the month of June. But, you know, I've had so many great guests for the last 9 years that you can always learn something. And I will put a list of what will be playing each week. So I wanted to share that with you. And summer's here, so yay! And then I will be back in July. Also, if you need any parenting advice, you can always contact me via my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, or my office number is 480-510-1453. And as always, I want to end my show with a little humor today. So I stepped away for like 2 seconds, says a mom, the beginning of every parenting horror story. Motherhood. When your kids are wearing brand new clothes and you're wearing the same underwear you owned before they were born. And finally, do you ever look at your kids and think, that one will be dropping me curbside at the nursing home. That one will be paying for it. That one will visit me the most. And that one, he'll be sneaking in good tequila and all the Twinkies. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Be safe, have fun, create lots of memories, and I will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.